To już można zacząć. Może pan przywitać i zaczynamy.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Adam Cebula. It's my great pleasure and honor to introduce to you Professor Jan Hrkut from the Catholic University in Rosenborg in Slovakia. Professor Hrkut works as an assistant professor at the Department of Philosophy in Rosenborg. He obtained his doctorate degree in philosophy in 2005. The title of the dissertation was The Dynamic Structure of the Cognition Process by Bernard Lonergan. The books, among the books which Professor Hrkut published, two are the edited books are Filozofische Refleksje or Philosophical Reflections, published in 2010, and Argumentatia Bioethicae, which is Argumentation and Bioethics, in 2009. Among the projects which Professor Hrkut was involved in, two seem to be of special interest, to me at least. The title of the first one, Christian Philosophy in Central Europe, Eastern Europe, the project in 2014-2016. The other one, The Issue of Realism and Anti-Realism in Humanities. The title of today's lecture is Can Art Morally Spoil Us? Between Ethicism and Autonomism. Professor Hrkut, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, my dear colleague. I'm happy that I'm able and your professors allow me to provide this lecture or this topic with you. Today, as was announced, I would like to speak about the issue which is on the borders of aesthetics and ethics. Truly speaking, I'm much more involved in aesthetics or philosophy of art. Analytical tradition of aesthetics is my favorite or my specialty, but I would like to step out from aesthetics and to look to the question if art can spoil us or destroy some nature or moral profile of recipients. So just let me start on the relationship between art and morality. Can art spoil us? This is excellent topic for proving that philosophy is not just in practical thinking or reasoning, but this topic is one where philosophy meets practice very clearly. I remember a couple of years ago, there was a very intensive discussion in Slovakia about corpus or list of books which is compulsory for high school students. And there was an example of a book where there were some sexual content in the books, or even rude words in the books from current literature production. And discussion was if that obscene or sexual explicit scenes or rude words, if these books could be part of the compulsory list of books for high school students. And some people said that it's just fiction, no problem with fiction, and in fiction world there could be everything with no bad consequences. And other people argued against this proposition, and they said that it is important what a high school students see or hear or listen or read. And this is very practical question for teachers, for parents, and even for Ministry of Education, I can say. So I think that the decision arising from this issue is very clearly practical. Let me start with some examples. Maybe most of us, or many of us, know Hieronymus Bosch. Bosch was a Dutch painter from 15th century, and his pictures or his works of art is examples of very unusual depiction of specific content, because we can see in his pictures, for example, devils, sins, sinners, bad thoughts, and this picture is example of temptation or thoughts, which is part of temptation of Saint Anthony. And you can see like deviant animals, figures or animals, body of animals in very strange positions, and it doesn't look very nice. It's not kind view on this kind of pictures. Look at this picture. This is another detail from the temptation of Saint Anthony, and if you look closer, you can see animals in some interactions. You can see devils or creatures which is not nice, not lovely. You can see something in the head of that man, in the mouth, or you can see also certain kind of creatures which is explicitly bad, or explicitly in maybe I can say in hell, or on the way to the hell. Another example from the fine arts, Artemisia Gentileschi painted in beginning of 17th century a scene from the Bible about the Susan. There is a story very known about the Susan, which is Susan is very nice and also morally nice person, but two old men, actually judges, make some conviction for her. They ask her for to have a sex with them, and she denied, and she make some proposition in front of community, and Susan should be I think punished or even killed by the law or by the judges. But Susan then, or Daniel, I think Daniel opened the discussion about his guilty, and he proved that old men are guilty and Susan is nice and innocent. And this is the situation when old man maybe proposing Susan very bad, very sexual, explicit proposition or suggestion. Another Bosch, it is a detail from Garden of Earthly Pleasures, and again we can see people in explicit positions. We can see some strange situation, which is I can say morally disputable, or we can question these positions with respect to the morality or moral goodness. And I would like to say that Hieronymus Bosch is not just somebody. He is an excellent painter, and his paintings is present on the altars in many churches in the Netherlands. So he is devoted Christian, and he paint about the morally high but also morally low situation in human life. And my last example would be more current example, and not from fine arts but from film industry or film production. And I would like to say something about Leni Riefenstahl. Maybe some of you knows Leni Riefenstahl. He is a German. She was a German filmmaker, and according many experts, Leni Riefenstahl was technically one of the best filmmakers. She was very famous about depicting details of human body. I mean, individual human body, but also masses of people. She started his career in 20s, I think, and she was before that she was a dancer. Then she made some sports, and then she did some sports, and then she entered a film career, and she was very popular and famous in 30s, and in that time the people from the NSDAP, from German party around Adolf Hitler, asked her for filming or making propaganda of Nazism in Germany. And Leni Riefenstahl agreed, and she made some films or propaganda videos. And according many experts, she helped Nazism to be popular within the masses. What was the mastery of Leni Riefenstahl? Maybe we are familiar with the films or videos that is produced by in very specific way. For example, camera on the track is something very normal for us. That camera could show us big scenes, but in that time, in the 30s and 40s, her procedures with camera and was something inventing, something very original. And this was the reason why Goebbels asked Leni Riefenstahl to help them to produce some films. And I would like to show you and present you a short detail, 5-minute detail of Leni Riefenstahl film, which calls Triumph des Willens. It is a triumph of will from 1935. And you will see intro of this film. The film it is a documentary film about the gathering of Hitler's political party, and this intro depicting situation when Adolf Hitler came to, I think, Nuremberg, where the party or gathering of that political party is or was. And Leni Riefenstahl had a task to film his coming. And you will see something very, very special. It is not just coming of Adolf Hitler, but full 5 minutes of film, full of symbols, allusions, and the effect to the viewers You will see. You can decide if it's effective or not effective. So let me start with this part of her film, and it's 5 minutes detail. So look at this. Yeah, just a small remark. It was a political gathering in 1934, and Leni Riefenstahl made a documentary film and announced that film in the year later in 1935. So look at that intro of that film. Okay, I'm going to continue, but a couple of let me say a couple of comments. Maybe you can feel that message of the documentary film. It is not just information about Führer who flew to the Nuremberg to the party. It is much more. The scene is opening with the information about German suffering, and whole the film and also whole the intro is a message of salvation. It is based on music, based on pictures, and you can see in all or in many details that Führer is like salvator for the people. It is intention of the film director, I think, and I'm sure of it. The second thing, now we have great opportunities to make short movies with our cell phones, even with drones. So it is not surprising for us to see a city or a place from the air. But in that time, it is something revolutionary that Leni Riefenstahl took a camera to the air, and she filmed another aircraft with the Führer, and she filmed a city, and the film is beginning with the situation in the where in the sky, maybe according to music we can say in the heaven, and the main message that somebody could bring us salvation from our suffering, it is message from heaven. I think it's this pseudo religious message or crypto religious message, because somebody from heaven is going to save us, and who is that guy? We can estimate that it would be a Führer, and it is another point or another symbol. You can see when the aircraft is going to the or landing to the Nuremberg, you can see the shadow on the ground, a moving shadow, and I'm sure that it is not just accident that it is shadow, because it is so similar about the shadow of the eagle, and there's two meaning of that shadow, I think, at least two. The first one is positive. It is like eagle is going to save or help or covers his kids. But another meaning of the shadow on the ground is dangerous or danger, because if you could if you see a shadow on the land, there is also there's also the idea that somebody very strong is coming, and you have to hide or you are in danger because of his power. And in final scene of that intro, you can see crowds of people. Riefenstahl was great in this depiction of the crowds. But if you can see, the video is open in YouTube. So if you could analyze it in detail, you could. But just let me stress that that crowds was depicted not just as many people, but you can see the faces. You can see individuals, which is I'm sure it is intentional procedure of the director to depict that there are many regular, normal, nice people which gettered because of fear coming, and that people were happy. We can see happiness or hope on their faces. So we could see two examples or three examples. I was speaking about the literature discussion, whether rude words or sexual contents should be read by high school students. The second examples was from fine art. Bosch depict people in a temptations. And also, the third example was from film production, Riefenstahl, Triumph des Willens, and it was propaganda film for Nazism. And it is my starting point for question: if or does art affect whether we are or we will be better or worse people? And my question is, if yes or if no, and if we put any answer, why? Why should or why could art make us better or worse people? And we can also ask that if art affects everyone or just some kind of people. And also we could ask that if it's a matter of freedom of speech, or we can ask that in the purpose of protection of society, we could just stop allowing people to see to the propaganda films, or we can stop or we can just move out bad literature from the high school curriculum. So this is the question, of course. Let's start philosophical analysis. I hope that philosophical analysis could help us with this question. And let's start with Le Petit Prince from Antoine Saint-Exupéry. I decided for this book because it is very famous and well known by many people, by all of us, I hope. And we can start with the two positions. The first position is art for art. In France, or in French, it is l'art pour l'art. It means that art, the purpose of the art is in the art world. So there is no other purpose or goal of art outside the art. But if you read Le Petit Prince, Little Prince, you can see, and I'm sure that we can agree that the message of the book is more than just pleasure from the reading. It is about the message concerning meaning of life. Can you remember the man who is drinking alcohol all day? Can you remember the fox and the message of the fox for Little Prince? Can you remember that head or snake or elephant in the snake? Can you remember the message? The message is not just pleasure from the reading. The message is much more beyond the text, much more beyond the book. It is about the life, but a moral life. It's a moral teaching from that book. So I think that Exupéry's books is example that art is referring to our lives, and would like to refer to and would like to influence our lives. And if I would like to put this reflection to the philosophical question, I can ask, are the art and the morality completely autonomous areas? Autonomism is answer yes. Autonomism means that the art and the morality life or moral life is completely autonomous. This is the position of autonomism. If you answer no, probably you think that the art and the morality is in mutual relationships, or even stronger, they are depend on each other. And if yes, if there is a relationships between art and morality, what type of relationships or causality is it? And the answer could be ethicism. Ethicism, we will understand, or we will analyze ethicism in a strong type and in moderate type. So autonomism. First position is autonomism, and autonomism means that art and morality is completely autonomous areas. Autonomism claims that art is fully autonomous and morally independent. Then the evaluation of art concerns artistic representation, not values and morals. And the third statement of autonomism, the art is a fiction, and moral, political, traditional norms do not apply to the fiction and therefore do not apply in art. If we would like to put some argument for autonomism, we can make this one, or we can think about this argument. The first premise: if works of art can be evaluated morally, then there are things in art that can carry moral qualities. The second premise is only beings with freedom can carry moral qualities. Then works of art are things, material or just things, not being. Then no things have freedom. Then no things can carry moral qualities. And then the sixth premise is nothing can that cannot be the barrier of a moral quality can be evaluated morally. And then conclusion: works of art cannot be evaluated morally. If you would like be an autonomist, this argument is probably could be your position. But if we look to the autonomism closely, we can find some problems, and I put four steps or four types of critique of autonomism. The first is following: moral evaluation does not concern works, but what they represent. And if they represent moral facts and values, then autonomism is wrong position. The second critique is fiction also carries a moral charge. Let's imagine the killer imagines how he is going to kill, and it is not neutral. It is morally influential if the killer imagines how he is going to kill somebody. The third critique could be that the influence of fiction is undeniable. For example, if you are at university or in school, if you are a member of army, fictions are very useful, because via fiction, through the fictions, you learn a lot. So fiction has a strong influence to lives of students or candidates for army and other people. So it is not true that fiction is morally neutral. And the fourth critique is We perceive works of art because of their content and value, what they represent, not as free fiction or as interesting formal objects. Remember to look back to the Riefenstahl film. That film is not about the aircrafts, not about the city of Nuremberg. People that see that film, they clearly know that it is about the fierce glorification or in favor of propaganda of Adolf Hitler. So autonomism is a position which could be discussed. The second option we have is so-called ethicism. What means ethicism? Ethicism claims that moral errors in works of art are also errors in works of art. So moral errors is something very substantial in works of art. If art represents the free decisions of the people, it should represent them morally correctly, according to ethicism. The value of work of art is proportional to the moral value. So, moral or ethical and aesthetical value could be or should be proportional. And the artwork prescribes, maybe this is the most important claim, that work of art prescribes, recommend certain reaction to us. For example, laugh, cry, fear. And if yes, and it certainly prescribes certain reaction, maybe the artwork also prescribes, recommend us some moral decisions or moral attitudes. If it is true, then the art has influence to us, not just in terms of aesthetics, but also in terms of ethics or moral life. There is a very inspirational argument of Barry's God. He's a British philosopher, and his argument, he's ethicist, or I can say he's aesthetician. But in this topic, he supports ethical argument or argument of ethicism, and his argument is following. The work of art prescribes certain attitudes of the recipient. These are prescribed or presumed or expected reactions to the artistic expressions. The second premise: if the work of art prescribes immoral reactions, the recipient should refuse to react in the prescribed manner as prescribed by the work. The third premise: the fact that the recipient has a reason not to react in the way the work prescribes is a failure of the work of art itself. The fourth premise is what reactions the work prescribes has aesthetics relevance. And conclusion: the fact that the recipient has a reason not to react to the work in the prescribed manner is an aesthetic failure of the work, its aesthetic defect, a sign of lower value of the work. So, we distinguished two positions, autonomism and ethicism. Autonomism, claim of autonomism is that aesthetic and ethical value of the art is independent. Ethicism claims that aesthetic value is in some way depending to moral value, or they influence each other. And ethicism we could distinguish in two types: strong type and weaker or moderate type. Strong type claims that the value of work of art lies in its moral value, that moral value influence, or the moral value is dominant, and the moral value influence the value of or aesthetic value of the work of art. Moderate type says that the value of work of art is influenced by its moral value. So the question is, it is possible to distinguish between artistic and moral qualities of artwork. Moderate type of ethicism say yes, and I can say that this is my position, and I think that this is balance position, a balance attitude to the question. Moderate ethicism says that if somebody is morally weak because of his, for example, laziness, this does not mean that he is morally evil in every way. For example, he may be generous or kind person, but he is lazy. But nevertheless, it is not completely a bad person. And then it follows that it is similar situation with complex works of art. Their particular moral defect or defects do not mean that the whole work is morally evil, or even that it's a bad work of art. For example, if you have a nice film, valuable film or book, and there is some, problematic scene or problematic situation, and you disagree with the author, with the solution of that situation, it does not mean that whole book or whole film is bad. It is just one quality, one property of the work of art, and many others could be very nice, valuable, and perfect. So the complexity, moderate ethicism, I think, claims that the complexity of the artworks is a challenge for the non-reductive view and evaluation. The argument of moderate ethicism is following. Some works of art or their parts have nothing to do with morality. Decorative paintings, for example, or orchestral music, or ornamental decoration, or works of architecture. Maybe these examples are not perfect, but it's hard to imagine how to be decorative paintings morally good or morally bad. Therefore, some works of art cannot be assessed using moral values. Strong ethicism. This is digression. The digression of my lecture. Strong ethicism says that gros or majority of the value of the work of art lies in the moral evaluation or concerning moral values. But moderate ethicism accept that not every work of art, not every quality of work of art could be evaluated morally or in moral terms. The third premise is some work of art have other than moral value. The fourth premise, evaluating some work of arts morally is inappropriate. And the premise number 5, it is possible to evaluate some work of art morally. So some work of art could be evaluated morally, some work of art no, or not possible to evaluate morally. The sixth premise is the aesthetic evaluation of some genres essentially requires the use of moral concepts. And conclusion, aesthetic evaluation of some genres is essentially moral. Aesthetic evaluation of other genres does not have to be moral. And there is another point of view. It is not attitude, but I can say that point of view to the question about the morality of art. Consequentialism. There is a Bible quotation that you will recognize the tree by the fruit. It's like very common sense statement, you know, or the consequences determine the value, also value of works of art. And for some, it is a good solution to look at the consequences that works of art cause. But and if there are consequentialist ethical theories, then there may be consequentialist aesthetic theories with regard to the moral influence of works of art. But I can say that the argument of consequentialism could be following. Consequentialist evaluation of work of art refers to the future causal consequences of the perception of work of art. Good work of art is a work whose expected moral consequences in the recipients will be good, and bad work of art is a work whose presumed moral consequences in the recipients will be bad. The second premise is the future behavior of art recipients cannot be reliably predicted because of complexity of causes and influences to the recipients. And what cannot be reliably predicted cannot be claimed. So, my conclusion, consequentialist evaluation of work of art cannot be accepted. Or, more careful, art has no definite, regularly recurring causal moral consequences in behavior. I have two conclusions. Conclusion number one, about cognitive value of art. I think that cognitive value of art lies in its ability to support the moral development of its recipients. Aristotle's notion of catharsis, very inspirative and important notion in aesthetics, as morally cognitive notion, has this capacity. And according to Aristotle, drama is and should be created as a structure of the right reasons and types, so to lead through the emotional cleansing to correct perception of natural and even supernatural things. Conclusion number two, it seems that moral evaluation of art is possible. Good work of art presents the general moral truth in a unique way, I can say in concreto, and thus avoids the trap of triviality. And this concretization cultivates the recipient, refines its distinction, and makes his moral sense more subtle and human. And this is my last slide. Thank you very much for your attention. And I'm curious to your reaction or question or recommendation. How can I see to the issue? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hrkut. I hope there are some questions which we can read out, and you'll be willing to answer them. Professor Bauer, I think he will be ready to put them up on the screen. We'll just read them. Okay, just before the questions will appear on the screen, if I may start with my own question. I've even as I was listening to your lecture, I tried to translate it into Slovak, and I'll ask it in Slovak and in English. And if you can answer it, I'll try to. So na začiatku svojej prednášky ste uviedli niekoľko príkladov umeleckých diel, ktoré by potenciálne mohli morálne pokaziť ich divákov. Obrazy Hieronima Boscha, ktoré ste odkazovali, zobrazovali škaredné scény. Ich predmetom bola akoby samotná škarednosť. zaujímalo by ma, či tento škodlivý potenciál umenia nie je prítomný v umeleckých stvárneniach krásnych predmetov, v krásnych príbehoch so šťastnými końcami, ktoré nemajú nič spoločné so skutočným životom. Nie je to nebezpečnejšie, keď umenie ignoruje škaredné, tragické, bolestivé aspekty ľudského života a vytvára tak ilúziu reality bez utrpenia, tragédii a bez toho, co kresťania nazývajú skúsenostiami kríža. So that's my attempt to ask you a question in Slovak. The Polish word, because you started with the representations of the ugliness. I was wondering if it's not more dangerous if art, as it were, ignores what is ugly, what is tragic, what is aesthetically painful, and creates this naive, illusion of reality, which is happy, which is always aimed at feeling good, feeling fine, so on and so forth. So isn't there this tension, okay, between naive aestheticism in art and the focus on what may be painful and perhaps even displeasing, but still real and showing what's real? Okay, that would be my question. I hope that the Slovak rendering of it was was good enough.
Yeah, your Slovak is perfect. I'm wondering if I should answer in Slovak or in English.
I always have a feeling that as Polish and Polish people and Slovak people, we can speak our languages, understand a lot. So if you do whatever you like. I think we'll be able to understand it.
Okay, so the question is, what recipients expect from the art? My supposition is that people expect something morally developing or making them better. You are right that even bad experience in life and even in depiction of that bad experience, evil experience of life could help us be a better people, could cultivate our soul, be more realistic view to the human life. If you look to the Aristotelian theory of tragedy, there is a huge space for tragic experience. There is a space for injustice, space for tragic, space for a winning or preliminary winning of bad side of heroes. But I think that fairy tales, arts depictions, and I can say educational potential of art leads us to the positive side of life. I have in mind that, for example, that Hieronymus Bosch temptations of or picture of Saint Anthony temptations. It's not about the blaming Saint Anthony. It's about depicting Saint Anthony as a winner over the, or in spite of that thinking. And if I, sinful man, see Saint Anthony with all that terrible thoughts and creatures and scenes, even me, if Saint Anthony won over these temptations, I have small hope that I can beat them, or I can be a part of the winning army over the temptations. So you are completely right that naive, non-realistic depiction of the life is destructive. And my last, or between my last slides, was that in concreto, moral truth in concreto in a work of art means that universal moral truth is depicting in particular concrete circumstances, and it should avoid naive view of naive view of moral life. And I can say that it's not my idea, but bad art really can destroy our view to the meaning of life. But vice versa, I think that good art could help us. And my position is moderate ethicism. I believe that art is not just game for spare time or for free time, but good art could help me to be a better man.
Better person. Okay, all right. So in other words, what the Americans call junk art is not really okay. Good. Okay, we've got a question. Like Humlu, well, as you can see it. Do you think animated fictions, for example, Animal Farm, can be thought of as a type of long art or film which contains more info about morality? That's the question. I've just read it.
Thank you for the question, Yonglu. Animated fiction. You mean Animal Farm? It is adaptation of the literary work. You mean probably, and can be thought as a type of long art or film which contains more info about morality. More info with comparing to what? I think that this kind of analogy or metaphors, which is used in Animal Farm, is definitely moral analogy. I think that it doesn't make sense if you see Animal Farm without analogy to moral life of human beings. Am I right? And yes, morally, this kind of art could teach us in moral terms. Teach us who are people in certain situation, which reaction they use, and which reaction should use. So I'm not sure with what you compare this film or this work of art. Type of long art film. I'm not sure if it's a type, but analogy is a very common procedure. How could you depict some moral true maybe? Yeah, but as I remember, Animal Farm has also some political context or political level of analogy. I think it is a analogy to the tyranny or to the political dystopia. Thank you.
System political oppression. Well,
Yeah.
of the type that we experienced in Poland and Slovakia.
Yeah.
And the European countries, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for answering the next question. I think there'll be some other questions coming up from other participants after lecture of our seminar today.
Do you have in Poland some public discussion about what is appropriate, for example, for school kids or high school students? Is there any discussion about it?
I do think that this discussion is going on right now, even at this very moment when we are having our discussion. Okay, well, it is concerned more with the content of the as you said, of the reading list in secondary schools and primary schools.
Yeah.
I do not think that the main topic of the discussion is related to to issues just as the ones that you have focused on. It's more about the presence of history, of the presentation of reality, of social reality, or Poland's history in works of art. This is being debated in Poland right now, but definitely I think this is a very universal issue. I mean, the book, well, as you said, but it is being debated even in Western countries. These university syllabi are being now redefined. Well, the questions are asked whether students should read these old books or the books of old young of old white men, right? Okay,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
and perhaps they should turn their attention to something which is more woke, as the term. Well, so I think that the topic is very very important right now. I think it is being discussed everywhere. Do we have any other question? Well, I don't know. There's no.
Perhaps not.
Okay. So, okay. So if I don't know, just perhaps wait. Let's wait just one more second. Maybe someone else asking a question. I was perhaps one more question which just crossed my mind as you were discussing the animal farm. About the question that the previous question which was asked, it came to my mind. The animal farm, of course, had a very nice film versions, and I think one of them was an animated, was this cartoon version of the animal farm. I was wondering whether this simple art, this art which which uses just like comic books, or animated pictures. Do you see a potentially moral, potentially morally harmful potential with in this kind of art? Usually, it's children who are the targets of that kind of art. And again, it's very often naive, simple. It has happy endings. But sometimes aesthetically it's very, very sophisticated. Do you think that what you've just said also concerns this type of art? Well, not very serious, not very, not novel-like, but more comic book-like. Do you think that the problem concerns also these types of art?
Unfortunately, I didn't see that animated version of Animal Farm. A couple of years ago, maybe 20, maybe 15 years ago, I read Animal Farm, but I can't imagine how it is adapted to the comics. As a teacher and as a father, I'm happy if my kids or my students read. I'm happy
the original.
Of the fact that, but in original, but also I'm happy if they read anything. So if Animal Farm in original as a novel is not usable or not good genre or not good opportunity for them, I'm happy that they can see it as or they can read it as a comics. But I'm not sure if this is still George Orwell work of art, because maybe Orwell will be or would be disappointed about the selection of the scenes. Maybe he would be disappointed about the reduction of the originality and richness of the work of his work. But I think that comics is one of the genres of between literature and fine art or painting, and it could be successful. And maybe for me, it's my main impression from the fact is positive because of didactics. And I know that even my kids, I'm happy if they took from the library comics, because otherwise they would watch to the cell phone or to the TV. Maybe cell phone is more common now, but and comics could be good introduction.
Comic book is still a book. The next
Yeah.
step may be
Yeah.
reaching for the book itself. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay. So
yeah. And maybe it is on the way to the George Orwell original novel. So thanks for it.
Okay, I can see no more questions. I don't even see how many people are out there. So I think at this stage, I think I would like to, on behalf of Professor Bauer and myself, I'd like to thank you very much for the interesting lecture that you have delivered, Professor Hrkut. Well, thanks very much, and hope you'll be able to meet again and discuss issues related to ethics, aesthetics, and other issues, which you include in your research interests.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Thanks everybody who's been participating in this lecture. Thank you very much, and have a good night. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity. Have a good night. Bye bye. Thank you.
Thank you.